Let's talk about one of the most talked about, dissected, and honestly divisive weddings we've seen in years, the marriage of Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sánchez. But not because of the gossip, not because of the money, and not because of the yacht photos. We need to talk about what this wedding meant in terms of luxury fashion, power signaling, and the new psychology of ultra-wealth dressing. This wasn't just a wedding, this was a performance. And every outfit worn that weekend wasn't just clothing, it was strategy. Lauren Sánchez's wedding dress alone sent a message. A custom Dolce & Gabbana Ultramoda gown with a high lace neckline, sculpted mermaid silhouette, hundreds of silk-covered buttons, and enough hand beading to require over 900 hours of craftsmanship. It wasn't delicate, it wasn't demure, it wasn't quiet. It was bold, unapologetic, and almost aggressive in how much it wanted to be seen. This was Lauren declaring not just love, but status, power, reinvention. A woman at 55 saying, "I've arrived and I am going to be watched." It's a fascinating contrast to what we've been seeing dominate fashion among old money circles and discreet, ultra-wealthy women, where the Row and Loro Piana champion barely their logos, neutral palettes, and wealth coded into material. Lauren's choices were pure spectacle, which is why the reaction was so divided. Her other looks were just as calculated. A Schiaparelli corseted gold gown for the welcome dinner, a vintage Alexander McQueen number for one of the yacht events, and an after-party gown encrusted with crystals so heavy it became armor. The message was clear. This was not about blending in or whispering wealth. This was about commanding attention. And whether people thought it was beautiful or garish was almost beside the point. The spectacle itself was the goal. The guest list was its own runway. Kim Kardashian shimmering in bronze, Khloe Kardashian arriving in a bold pink feathered gown, Kendall in classic black, Kylie in sculptural grey silk. The aesthetic was theatrical, maximalist, and unapologetically nouveau-riche. And that tension between quiet, coded wealth and loud, hyper-visible glamour is exactly where fashion culture is split right now. What's so fascinating is the public response. So much of the commentary wasn't even about the dresses themselves, but about whether this kind of excess was appropriate. Was it tone deaf? Was it tacky? Or was it aspirational? The conversation wasn't about craftsmanship. It was about cultural context. And that tells you everything about how wealth signaling has shifted. The truth is, this wedding wasn't for old money. It wasn't for the fashion insiders whispering about $600 Loro Piana caps and double-faced cashmere coats. It was for the new titans of ultra wealth, where visibility equals power. And that's what Lauren Sánchez understood perfectly. In a world where discretion used to be the ultimate flex, now there's a market for strategic excess, and she owned it. Jeff Bezos himself played his part too. A clean, perfectly tailored tuxedo. No flash, no embellishment. Which made Lauren's extravagance even louder by contrast. And that's another layer of luxury psychology we're seeing play out in real time. Power couples where one goes silent and the other becomes the statement piece. What's worth noting is how the brands involved positioned themselves. Dolce & Gabbana, Schiaparelli, Oscar de la Renta, all known for bold, maximalist couture. None of these houses are known for quiet luxury or subtlety, and in choosing them, Lauren aligned herself with a very specific type of luxury identity, one built on drama, spectacle, and owning the room. The whole event served as a case study in the evolving hierarchy of luxury. There's no one definition of status anymore. Some are chasing the ultra-minimalism of the Row, while others double down on crystal-studded corsetry and statement gowns. What this wedding proved is that fashion's elite class is no longer a single circle. It's split between the quiet and the loud, the coded and the conspicuous, and both are powerful in their own way. But what's important is knowing what each one signals. Because in luxury fashion, your clothes don't just speak, they declare. They tell people what room you think you belong in, and whether you're signaling old money restraint or new money opulence, you're making a statement. This wasn't about good taste or bad taste, it was about power and visibility. And Lauren Sánchez's wedding wardrobe, whether people loved it or hated it, succeeded in what it set out to do: make you watch, make you talk, and make her unforgettable. If you're as fascinated by the way fashion operates as a language of power, follow us on Instagram at GTWJMag for daily deep dives into luxury fashion psychology, wealth signaling, and what the world's most powerful people are actually wearing. This is Girl Talk with Ju, where fashion thinks deeper. And what makes this moment so important in fashion isn't just the dresses or the guest list, it's what it reveals about who luxury is really for now. We're living in a time where there's a growing divide between luxury as heritage and luxury as spectacle. On one side, you have brands like Loro Piana, the Row, and Brunello Cucinelli, quietly dressing Oldmoney heirs, discreet billionaires, and the legacy families who've been rich for generations. No logos, no theatrics. Just $15,000 coats made from the rarest cashmere and tailoring so perfect it feels like a private code. That's what our last video was about, and it's still the look that holds power in the rooms no one photographs. And on the other side, you have this. The Bezos-Sanchez wedding was a display of new billionaire culture. It's loud, hyper-visible, designed to be seen, memed, and dissected. And it's happening because luxury isn't really about clothes anymore. It's about visibility management. Who gets to be seen, how they choose to be seen, and how fast they can outshine whoever came before them. The backlash wasn't about the money spent, it was about the optics. In a culture where people are told to downplay wealth while the world struggles economically, these hyper-extravagant moments become flashpoints. And it's a reminder that luxury, for all its craftsmanship and artistry, has always been political. It's a way of deciding who gets to be admired and who gets to be resented. What's so interesting is that this wasn't a fashion failure. Lauren Sánchez wore exactly what she needed to wear to own her space in this new billionaire class. And the people calling it tacky missed the point. It wasn't for them. It was for the ultra-elite social circle where this level of excess isn't cringe, it's currency. And whether you personally loved or hated the gowns, the hair, the spectacle, what we can't deny is that it worked. We're all still talking about it. And in 2025's attention economy, that is the ultimate power move. This moment will be studied by fashion historians not for its taste, but for what it's signaled. A shift in who controls the fashion narrative, what wealth signaling looks like in a post-logo, post-quiet luxury world, and how fashion continues to serve as a language for power, not just style. And that's exactly what we'll keep breaking down here. If you want more unfiltered analysis of how luxury fashion operates behind the scenes, the coded moves, the power plays, the psychology no one else talks about, you already know where to be. Follow us on Instagram at GTWJMag and subscribe, because this is where fashion thinks deeper. See you in the next one.